guys, welcome back to my channel, Butterfly Spirit 314. So guys, today what I wanted to do is I want to talk about how you can stay safe at home. Now, I know a lot of you may be thinking, well, why would I have to stay safe at home? I am safe at home, nothing bad can come to me, that's what you guys may be thinking because you're used to being around your neighborhood, you know what I mean? Unless you've moved, most of us, we've been in our neighborhoods for quite a while. I mean, with COVID, um, most of us have kind of been staying put, you know what I mean? So how, you might be asking, why would this video be important, if I feel safe in my neighborhood? Well, your neighborhood might not be as safe as you think that it is. So in another video I did, I talked about being vigilant or being aware of your neighbors, watching out to see what cars they drive, the houses that they go into, how to like distinguish between if somebody's your neighbor or if they are they're just somebody that's visiting your neighbor, or maybe they're just leaving their car in front of your house. So in that video, you guys can definitely go watch it. I usually don't link videos, but I can try to see if I know what the video's title is, and then you guys can go watch it. Give me just a second here. I'm going to go to my channel so I can find the video so that it's a little easier. Let me see. I'm looking. I'm trying to see if this is one of the things I posted. I thought that I did, honestly. Okay, I thought I did a video. I think I did, but I think that something must have happened with the video somehow or another. So what I'm going to do is just kind of briefly go over that with you guys, because I think that maybe, oh, I found the video. I found it. So if you guys want to check out the video I did about being vigilant about your neighbors, the video is called Beware of Who. Hang on just a second.
Hello guys.
Hang on. Okay, let me critique this. Okay. All right, so I did a video. It's called Beware of Who Your Neighbors Are, and it's, of course, me, Butterfly Spirit, talking about why you want to be vigilant about your neighbors. I see that they disliked the video, which is very off-putting to me. The reason why I'm pretty off-put by somebody disliking that video is because in that video, I talked about why you want to watch your neighbors. And the reason why you want to watch your neighbors, this isn't the whole conversation, but the reason why you want to be aware of who belongs in your neighborhood and who doesn't is because if something were to happen, if your car were to get hit, like what happened to me, if somebody hits your car, right, you want to know who's supposed to be in your neighborhood and who isn't. If you don't watch like the cars that are around, your neighborhood and where people are going on the day to day, you won't know who belongs to your neighborhood. I get more detailed and involved into it in the video. If you want to go and check it out, you definitely can. I may make an update video about that person's dislike for the video. I can only guess that if somebody doesn't like the video I made, it was because they are somebody who's trying to hurt somebody. They are trying to, they're trying to rob somebody. They're trying to kill somebody. they're trying to stalk somebody. And those things are not okay. So if you're somebody who believes that kind of stuff, then my channel is not for you. I don't stand for that type of stuff. I've been stalked by people. I have, I have come to be aware that we live in a world where everybody is not nice. You have some evil people that exist. And if you want to stay safe, then you have to be vigilant. Okay. So if you guys want to watch that video, you definitely can. I'll just go through that. It's called Beware of Who Your Neighbors Are. I'm going to make sure that's the right title because I updated the name. Okay, yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me change something. Let me go change it real quick. Be aware of who your neighbors are and are and who is just visiting. So I renamed the video. It's called Be Aware of Who Your Neighbors Are and Who is Just Visiting. My experience. So I just went ahead and did that. So guys, the new name of the video is Be Aware of Who Your Neighbors Are and Who is Just Visiting. My experience. Alrighty. So today I'm going to go back because I wanted to fix that so it's better now. Let's see. Hang on just a second. All right, so getting back to the live, how to stay safe at home, okay? Like I just said, there are people out there who, there's people out there who want to hurt you, okay? These could be people who are neighbors of yours, and you may not have said 2 words to these people, but they may be jealous of you for whatever reason. So I'll give you an example, me and my fiance. So me and my fiance, we've lived in apartments. So we lived in 2 apartments. We've lived in the house that I'm in right now for a couple years now. And of course, we've lived, separately, at our family's houses and stuff like that. So we've separately done that. He lived with his family, I live with my family. So, we have a wealth of knowledge from those experiences. So, from my experience, like living on my own as an adult, I can tell you that you will have people who don't like you. And it may not be anything that you've done, like for me, for example, when me and my fiance first got our first apartment, I was a college student, and I believe I was in my sophomore. I think I was in like my. I think I was in like my. I think I was in my sophomore year when we first moved, and then my fiance, he worked a full-time job and stuff like that. And we first moved to that apartment. It was very quiet. For the most part. We did have an upstairs neighbor. I don't have one now, but we had upstairs neighbors, but we were able to get along with them, so that wasn't a problem. It wasn't until like, I'm gonna say the last. Well, it depends on the person that lived upstairs. So we stayed in our apartment for a long time. So we were there about 7 years is how long we were there. First got there, stuff was fine. We were adjusting to living in the apartment. We didn't, we weren't aware that people could hear us that were upstairs or outside in the hallway. We had no idea about that. We thought that our apartment was built for privacy. Like you would think, like when you live with your parents, you think that your house is structurally sound, so nobody's going to be able to hear your information, right? That's what you think. That's what we thought, okay? we were very naive, but we became aware that people could hear what we were talking about when this was like within like the last um, actually it was a little earlier than that, you know. So one thing that would happen that was kind of creepy was that I had neighbors who would intentionally stand outside of our apartment door and they would listen. And so, because people would do that, what we would do is we would put like some plastic bags like you'd get from the store. We put them on top of the door and stuff like that. If you don't live in the U.S., you may not have the ability to get that, but you know that's what we used to put up there to kind of keep people from listening. But somehow or another, I think that people were able to, you know, they were able to hear, like if I forgot to put the bags up above the door and below the door, then they would, you know, hear stuff and everything. So we didn't have our windows open or anything like that because the apartment window, like bugs would come in. So we had that like plastic stuff and stuff like that from like winter time, you know, and we got the advice to do that from the maintenance lady who would come in. Yes, I know, maintenance lady. Um, but we learned stuff from her, which is cool. Um, so we didn't know about, you know, people hearing through the door, our business. We didn't know that people above us, we didn't know that the ceiling people could, if they like were listening, like putting their ear to the floor, they can hear, you know, the hearing through the door and then people hearing us upstairs, like above us, that was out of our control, you know, and we didn't know that for a long time. But when we found out, then we tried to, you know, try to keep the top of the door, like front door and bottom door covered and stuff like that. We lived in an apartment building, so we would go inside the apartment building to, you know, unlock our door, and then we'd go into our place. So that was the only door we would open as our front door. There was no back door for us or anything like that. So, you know, the front door, you know, was like a back door to, it's like that's the in and out way to get out of the apartment. I mean, we could have got out the windows if we needed to, but that would have been a hassle in itself. I mean, it's good we were on the main floor if we ever had to do that, but that's an example of something that me and my fiance didn't know. You know, we didn't know that, you know, that our neighbors were doing that until like, you know, we noticed, my fiance noticed, like when he looked out to people or when I looked out to people, I noticed that, you know, my neighbor, you know, was standing intentionally listening at my door. And it wasn't just like the guy across the hall, it was the guy, you know, it was the guy, like some guys lived upstairs and everything like that. So it was pretty creepy. Leaving our first apartment, we had to leave because, you know, because our lives were at stake, because the people from the apartment were trying to get in fights with us and stuff. And there was like one of the guys, well, two of the guys, they were from upstairs. Each was in a different apartment. The older guy, older black guy, he was saying that, you know, he was talking about like my fiance heard him say that, you know, the guy would hear me singing and stuff like that. When I would be like, you know, want to get my thing on or whatever, you know, when I was at home by myself and stuff. Guy said that, you know, I had a beautiful voice and stuff, which is not bad, but the fact that he could hear me, it took another turn when the older guy, Walter, was trying to work with the younger guy that lived above us. So it took on another turn. So Walter was in one apartment, and then the guy Anthony up right above us, you know. So it took a different turn because the old man was plotting with the younger guy um, to try to get in a fight with my fiance so that the old man could try to drag me off and rape me. Okay. So that's not safe. Okay. And that's why I'm doing this video. So you guys can be aware because, me and my fiance, like, by the time, like, this little plan was devised, I was working a full-time job. My fiance was working part-time. You know, we were never loud. If we have a disagreement, well, yeah, that would be something, but we didn't do it every day. So, we kept to ourselves, for the most part. I did. My fiance was kind of helpful of other neighbors. Like, there was an older lady down the hall. My fiance was, trying to help because she was older and she was always going to hospital and stuff. So, he was trying to be helpful. I kind of chimed in when she needed us to wash her clothes and stuff. So, cool. But it wasn't okay when things start getting serious and somebody's trying to get in a fight and probably kill somebody and then trying to rape me. That's not okay, and it's never okay for your neighbors to be plotting to try to hurt you, and it's just never okay. So we moved from that place, okay, and for good reason. um I lived in that apartment with my fiance for 7 years. um Oh, wait a minute. Not 7 years. I lived in that city for 7 years, but we lived in that apartment for 6 years and like 3 months. And, of course, we had to break our lease to leave, but the lady at the landlord's office, she was okay with it. She was like, oh, okay, well, if we wanted to leave, we can leave. So we left. So um, we went elsewhere to another place. And the reason I'm drawing on my experience with my fiance in our first apartment is because you never know that people are listening to you. Okay. And what are people listening to you do? Are they listening to you have sex? Are they listening to you, um, you know, when you're paying a bill on the phone and then you're reading out your card number? Is that what somebody is listening to? They're listening for your debit card number, your credit card number. Is that what they're listening for? You know, um, are they listening for your social security number? Are they trying to find out where you work at? Are they trying to find out, you know, um, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, are they trying to listen to find out if you have family that comes to see you or not? People can be listening for different things. Our second apartment we went to, that particular apartment was where we found out that people were in fact listening in, and it was creepy, and it was such drama and chaos with the people. Not us, because me and my fiance were going to work. We're trying to make it and be successful. That's what we're trying to do. Second apartment, we never talked to anybody. Before we moved to our second apartment, I told my fiance, hey, let's just keep a low profile. Let's not talk to anybody. Maybe us keeping a low profile, maybe that's going to keep us safe and we can have an enjoyable experience. And for the second apartment, I thought, hey, since I'm paying, a few $100s more, it's going to be a better experience. Newsflash, just because you pay more money doesn't mean that your neighbors, like new neighbors, are going to treat you any better. It doesn't mean that they are. Okay. So, we found out with the second place, it didn't fit. Now, people that's watching this video, they may be like, well, why didn't you fit? What did you guys do to, cause the neighbors to, get into it with you? You are Black. So, did you say something to somebody? Did you steal something? You know, did you talk about somebody's kid, or did you flirt with somebody and let the drama know? Just because I'm African American doesn't mean that me or my fiance caused anything. We're both African American, and we didn't do anything in these circumstances. First place, my fiance was trying to be helpful. We tried to be friendly, and I actually did try to be friendly. Saying hi, to people. First place, and eventually, like when you move into a place from your family's house, you eventually get accustomed to it, and you learn stuff along the way. So in neither apartment did we do anything to piss anybody off. I think really the only thing that really did piss people off is that we kept to ourselves mostly. Like we went to work, and we kept our own private stuff to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like as a couple, we talked about stuff. I think that's probably what pissed people off was that we kept to ourselves and we had flexibility. You know what I'm saying? To do stuff we wanted to do. I think that's really what pissed them off. I think that you know another thing is that they were mad because me and my fiance were drug free, so we don't do drugs or any of that stuff. We don't do weed. We're not, somebody they can be buddies with, be weed buddies and stuff. We're not those type of people. We don't do that. We're drug free, so we don't, we're not involved with substances like that. Now if it's CBD and I have like a CBD edible, that's different. But I mean, yeah, because it's like a sucker or like a edible, like candy or something. So that's a little different. But I didn't really didn't. Well, I did, occasionally like get into CBD. I did, but it was like more of an edible, like a sucker or something like that, or like caramel or a brownie. But it wasn't like, it was very rare, if anything. So I can do a video on CBD and like the different ones that I've tried in terms of edibles for you guys if you really want me to do that. But you just have to comment to let me know. But me and my fiance, we've been through our share of, crazy stuff, and for no reason, I mean, we didn't do anything, we didn't say anything wrong to anybody. We were really nice to people. We went back and forth to work, you know, and we lived our lives. And, I guess that was enough to piss people off, because we were minding our own business and they saw us being successful and they didn't like that. And the same thing can happen to you as well. You can be, going to work, to and from work every day. You and your person, you may be, you guys may have a goal. You may have a goal of getting to success together. And, although, you guys are doing this out of goodness of your heart to live a better life, there's somebody that, you live around that may be pissed off, they're peed off because you're minding your business and you're making moves and they can't do that. You know what I mean? And they wish that they could do that. And the fact that you're minding your business, mind your own business pisses them off. You know what I mean? So I'm not really sure why that does that, like why that happens to people, but maybe they just got something wrong with them and they got to go through counseling and sort that stuff out. I mean, counseling is available to people. I mean, even if you have to pay for it, I'd say pay for it. At least, at least working that out is better than hurting somebody. Okay. So what does this have to do with, what does this have to do with how to keep yourself safe at home? How is that concerned with this? Well, one thing is that if you notice that your neighbors are being abnormal, meaning that, that they have issues with you, and you didn't do nothing, you may have went outside to water your plant, you may have went and walked your dog and, brought the dog back in. And of course you cleaned up the dog poop, you may have did all the right things. You may have went to the store and you got groceries and brought them back home. You may have, you may have said hi to them, just because you're being neighborly. And they somehow have a problem with that. I don't know why, but they have some type of flipping problem. Okay. So, because these people are at odds with you if you live by yourself, or at odds with you if you live with someone else, this could be you and your significant other, This could be you and a best friend. This could be you and your children. This could be you and your grandkids. This could be you and your parent. You know, there's a lot of, relationships that may bring you to a situation where you're living in a place and your neighbors, have a problem with you and you didn't do nothing. Okay. So if your neighbors are at odds with you because you didn't do nothing to them, or maybe they overheard you say something about them and they're pissed off and they did something to you first, then it's you didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? So how does this have to do with being safe? Well, if your neighbors are at odds with you, whether you're in an apartment, house, condo, um, whatever type of housing arrangement you have, okay? If they're at odds with you, chances are they may be out to hurt you, okay? Because they may, and though they show you the signs too that they're mad, because they may, stare at you, they may walk down the hallway and stop at your door and say something. You may hear them talking about you when you get outside your building or you come outside the house. You overhear them saying something. It could be anything. Could be. So if your neighbors are at odds with you, depends on where they want to take it. Sometimes your neighbors are just pissed off at you, so they won't say nothing. They may have went from saying hi to stopping the whole saying hi, and they're just silent when they see you. But they may talk to somebody else. You know that they're mad. You know that your neighbors are wanting to fight you if they are stalking you. Like if every time you come home, they're outside. And then when you go in, then, they try to go in and they time you. That's when you know that something's off. And when you always have to call the police because they're doing stuff that's threatening to you, like they are parking behind you, like your car and stuff, or they're trying to prevent you from getting in the building, they're trying to lock you out. It's like apartment speak and stuff, but it could be housing too, like condo or something like that. If they are going out of their way, like if you move your car down the street and then they park down the street, or they're watching you, walk down the street and stuff like that, wherever you're going, or they show up at stores that you went to before and they weren't there, but now they're there. If your neighbors are going through all that stuff, chances are they don't have the best intention for you. So either they want to fight you, they may want to rape you, they may want to kill you. If that's how crazy they are, they may get there. So if you notice that your neighbor is doing this outlandish shit that they're doing, we're going to talk about how you can stay safe. Okay. So how you can stay safe at home. All right. So I'm going to kind of break this down between apartment and house. And apartment kind of goes with condo or two-family flat. House would kind of just be, house, or, if you live in like a mobile home that's separate from the places or whatever. So take bits and pieces from either part that fits for where you're at, because that would be the best. So how to stay safe at home. So if you know that your neighbors are being mean to you, they're ignoring you, or they are, spreading gossip about you, it's all in perspective. So let's talk about the apartment first, and then I'll get to the house. So give me just a second. All right. So apartment. How do you stay safe? And vice versa, you can take points from either place and use them where you need to. I'm just repeating that because you guys may say, oh my gosh, I have to stay in category. Can I pick something from one place and move it to another? Yeah, if you need to. So if you live in an apartment, being aware of your neighbors and their treatments towards you tells you a lot about them. So if they're mean to you, you know, or they say stuff straight to your face and they're in a company of somebody else, one thing you may want to do in an apartment, like especially if you have to come out the main door or go out the back door and your mean neighbor, takes it upon themselves, and it could be one person, one neighbor, or it can be other neighbors together, okay? If they do something like this and they're saying stuff to your face or they're spreading gossip, okay, about you, and they make sure you can hear it, one thing you can do in an apartment, I know apartments are set up different ways. A lot of them have a main door and a back door that you go out of. They have, flights of stairs. Could be laid out a little different, but if your neighbor or neighbors is doing this to you, first thing you need to do is isolate how many people is doing this to you. So is it one person? Is it, one person who does this, or one neighbor who does this? Is it, you know, two neighbors, three neighbors, four neighbors, five neighbors, six neighbors, seven neighbors, eight neighbors, nine neighbors? So is it one person, that's visiting a neighbor that's doing this stuff to you? Maybe they visit somebody, so they have a reason to be there, and, they can use that excuse if something happens. Okay, if it's a person visiting, then, that person will leave unless this is a frequent person who comes to see your neighbor. It may not be the neighbor, but it can be somebody they know, that comes over all the time. What if it's specifically your neighbor? So what if your neighbor that lives in this specific apartment is doing this to you? Then it's that one person, like just like with the visitor. It's the visitor, not the neighbor. Okay. What if it's different neighbors in your building who intentionally are doing this to you and they all ganged up? If it's a group, then okay, all these people are doing this. I'm not going crazy. It's all these people. They're really doing this stuff. Okay? One way to stay safe if people are, whether it's a single neighbor, it's somebody visiting your neighbor, or it's just all your neighbors that are doing this to you. And it doesn't have to be everybody, but it could just be a few. Either way, the easiest way to try to stay safe in this situation, if the neighbor is bad talking you, if your neighbor's doing this stuff or a visitor's doing stuff and they find out information about you and they're saying it and then spreading it to other people, the way that you stay safe is that if you see that your neighbor or the visitor or the neighbor or the neighbors are all outside, or just a few of them, he's outside. One thing you can do is, instead of going out the front door to have to come in contact with them, what you can do is go out the back door, use that as a means of avoiding that, so that you don't have to go through that particular type of, harassment. That's what I call harassment, because they're intentionally doing that to you to make you feel uncomfortable. Okay. The reason you want to know who's doing it is because if you have to call the police, you're going to have to be able to tell them who is doing this to you. Is it the neighbor? Is it somebody visiting the neighbor? Is it these specific group of neighbors? And maybe you may want to tell, the police officer. You may not want to call the police and have them come over. You may want to go to police station to, talk about that, which is another tip of how you can stay safe. So one thing is, if you see your neighbor in the front, go out the back. If you see your neighbor out the back and you're going that way, go out the front so you can avoid them, okay? Especially if you're trying to get to your car. If you are a couple, then you guys can walk out together in the opposite direction to feel safer. You may say, well, why wouldn't I go with my significant other out the, out the front door if the neighbor's out there, the neighbors are out there, or the back door, the neighbors are out the back? Well, you don't want to bring your significant other outside because that neighbor can be unpredictable. If they see that you have somebody out there with you, like if you're a girl and you bring your boyfriend outside with you that you live with, um, if you bring them outside, then that person can risk being hurt because your neighbor may be just waiting for you to do that to, you know, ladies, have your boyfriend to come out with you, and they can be talking to, it could be a female who's running her mouth, and then she has a guy standing next to her that she's talking to. Well, if your neighbor is mad enough and the other person is allied with that person, then they can try to fight you or wait for you guys to walk past, and they can try to, punch you or kick you or whatever. It may not matter how strong your boyfriend is. It may not matter because they can be trying to beat up on that person. And then you ladies, you may have to run away. But then what if there's somebody who's also comes up that knows your neighbor, and they're just there to try to come after you? You know what I mean? And gentlemen, it works the same way too. Gentlemen, what if, you're walking outside, you don't feel comfortable going, past the neighbor, so you say, oh, I'll bring my girlfriend outside. Well, same thing can happen. Your neighbor may have a couple people who, is going to help them fight you or stab you or do whatever, and some people will even do it in broad daylight because, they don't even care. It's people are so bold these days, they'll do stuff in broad daylight and they don't even care. They'll care if police is there, but they won't care if, if it's just, you guys and stuff. So the best way to stay safe is, if you're by yourself, you go out the back door if your neighbor's in the front. Okay. If your neighbor's in the back, you go out the front door. Okay. And if you feel really scared and you want your significant other to come outside with you, do the safe thing. And if your neighbor's in the back, you guys can go out the front. If your, bad mouthing neighbors in the front, you guys go out the back, and then you walk around the building so you guys can get to where you have to go. Okay? Don't leave it to chance that and let your neighbor have the ability to be next to you, especially if they got this vengeance for you or your significant other or both of you guys. So that's one way to be safe, okay, in the apartment. Another way to be safe is that if you see somebody outside your door, okay, and there's a gap at the top or gap at the bottom, and somebody's standing out there and they're listening. If somebody's standing outside and they're listening, it's because they can hear into your apartment, okay? Now, what if your front door is sealed? What if that's the case? Well, do you have a window open? If you have a window open, then there's a chance, like if you're on ground level, somebody can hear you. If you're a floor up, they can hear you. Depends on how loud you guys talk and stuff like that. What I'd suggest, and before I make the point, also, what about your vents? Are your vents open? Can people hear you? How are you going to know if somebody can hear you? Well, me and my fiance found out at our second apartment that we were being heard in our apartment. The reason how we knew is because there was a lady that didn't like us for whatever reason. And when we came outside one day, my fiance heard the lady talking about what we had been discussing in our apartment. We thought it was safe to discuss private information, but it was not. Okay, it wasn't. So when she was, bad mouthing us and, you know, telling our private business to other neighbors, when she was doing that and telling other neighbors our business, then that told us, oh, okay, somehow she's getting the information. Well, we were thinking, okay, who lives above us? Okay, this guy who's supposed to be crazy lives above us. So maybe he's not all really that crazy, and maybe he's listening to jot stuff down, and then he can go and tell her, and then she can spread it to other people. If you are finding out that one of your neighbors is talking about your private business to other people, your neighbors shouldn't know that. The other people should know that stuff about you either, okay? So, since they should know it, you have to find out, okay, how are they getting this information? Are they listening through the vents to get your information? Is somebody getting the information and then spreading it to this other person, and the other person's telling it to other people? Is your window open when when private stuff's being discussed? Is your door, like, does your door have gaps? You know, are your walls thin? You know, eventually you'll find one of these things that's happening constantly, and then you'll be able to isolate the cause. My fiance found in our second place that the guy upstairs was listening through the vents and listening to stuff we were talking about. And so, what we did, taped up the vents, just taped them. So where we get our air conditioning from and our heat from, we taped that up. And then I'm going to tell you, it was weird because when that was being taped up, this guy upstairs ran down the stairs hysterically because he wasn't able to hear what we were talking about. Okay. How can you stay safe? If you know somebody is listening through your vents and you're in an apartment, if they're listening, what you can do is you can do like we did. You can tape up your vents. But what if it's wintertime? Well, what can you do if you need, the heat? One thing you can do when you're at home, if you find out they're listening to the vents, one thing you can do, um, one thing you can do, kind of dark in here. You can discuss your private business, and you can discuss it. You can discuss it when you're not at home. Now, I know that could be really hard for some of you guys to do, but if somebody's listening, you don't want them to get that that information like their social security number, debit card number, credit card number, where you work and stuff like that. You don't want them to get that information, and you may not even want them to know where you moved from, because what if you had issues where you moved from? What if the people from where you lived before start teaming with these people at this new place? What if they do that? And you guys may be saying, oh my gosh, you're going above board. I don't want to go through that. Okay, well, if you don't want to, if you don't want to tape up your events, or you want to, you don't want to have to, go other places to talk privately about stuff. Well, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but your neighbor is going to continue to listen to you through the vents if that's what they're doing and spreading to other people, so it's a choice, do what makes you feel the most comfortable. Now, what if your neighbor's listening through the window that you have? Well, simple thing is shut the window, when you're talking about private stuff, shut it. And then, you can open it, if it's for a plant, open it for a short time. Or you can just keep the window closed permanently so you don't have that problem. Now, I know there's people out there, well, I want my fresh air. Okay, well, you can have your fresh air, but you can also shut the window when you're talking about private stuff. Okay, so it doesn't get to somebody else. Now, what if they're listening through the door? If they're listening through the door, you can do like me and my fiance did. You can put bags up above the door if there's a big gap, or you can put them below, or if it's in both places, you can put bags up the top and bags at the bottom. If you live in another country, you can probably use maybe fabric or towel or something like that at the top and the bottom of the door. You just want to have a tight fit. Okay. I'm getting tired, that's why I'm yawning a lot. So, now, know that your neighbors, if you take methods to try to stay safe and stuff, they're probably going to try to counteract that. So if your neighbor can't listen to you through the vent or the window or your door, they may have somebody that lives beside you that's going to be listening into your conversations. Okay. So the way you guard against that is that if you have, taped up your vents, you have, if you have a gap, cover the gaps at the bottom and top of the door, front door, and then you shut the window, and then you let's say you notice that your neighbor or neighbors are still getting information. Well, there may be somebody lives on the side of you, and if that person is working with the bad neighbor and they're working with them, then well, if they're working with them, then there is the chance that you may have to go to a part of your house where your apartment where your neighbor upstairs or to the side of you cannot hear you. Me and my fiance did this. So what we would do is we would go into a closet. And this closet was so well insulated that the guy upstairs couldn't hear us, and the guy that lived to the next to our apartment could not hear us. Okay. So, there's things you can do. Another way you can stay safe in an apartment. One way you can do it is knowing your exits. Okay. So if you know you have neighbors who are bad, one thing you can do is know your exits. If your neighbors were to try to break into your house, what are your exits? Can you exit from your apartment out to the main road? Do you have to go out a second story window? If you have to go out a second story window, do you have a ladder to get out that way? What if you have no exits, other than window, and you don't want to go out the window? Well, you'd either have to, go right or left out your door. And is there a way for anybody to try to cut you off? Well, if you find, like our apartment, if you find that there is a back door, but you have to go down, some stairs and stuff, or to go down, to get out the front, you have to go down some stairs and people can try to intercept you. If you find that to be the case, but you have a window, you may want to have a plan to go out the window. Now, what if your neighbor is going to be waiting for you to be going out the window? So they can try to beat you to a pulp, supposedly. If that's what they're thinking. Well, if you're going to be going out the window, one thing you may want to do, and this is up to you guys, if you only have the front door and the back door, but you got to go downstairs and people can come up the stairs and then they can kind of prevent you from leaving, surround you. Well, like a front door and back door in an apartment. So in our apartment building, if we walk down the hallway, so if we walk to the left, we would be heading down the hallway, and then there's going to be some stairs that go down. And then on the main floor, there would be a front door we can exit. Okay. Same thing with the back door. If we go down, like if we turn right, we'd walk outside our door, lock it, of course. if we um, go to the right, we walk down the hallway. Now, of course, if we're walking down to the right of the hallway, if we're walking down that way, two of the mean neighbors are down there. So they can just come out their door and then we wouldn't be able to do anything. So, we kind of watched where they were and stuff. But as long as we can walk down the hallway to the right, walk down hallway, downstairs, down some other stairs, down some other stairs, we can go out the back door. But if somebody's trying to intercept us on the right and the left side when we walk out, then our only escape is going to be going out the window. But of course, we didn't have a ladder. We didn't really think that far. Okay, so what would we have done, and what can you do if you're in that situation? You come out your door, your neighbors are surrounding you on the right and left side, and then there's somebody that's a door across the hall from you, and they're in on it. What you can do is you can go out the window. One thing you want to do, if you don't have one already, go and get a ladder, okay? And you want to get a ladder, not a, metal ladder, not like that, but you're going to get a ladder that you can throw out the window and that you can climb down. You want to make sure the ladder can accommodate your weight as well. And if you're on the main floor and if you go out your window, you'll be, ground level. That can work for you. You and your significant other or whoever you live with is just going to have a system of, okay, well, one of us is going to fight these people off while the other runs. Okay. I don't like to think about that because my fiance came up with that when we were in our first apartment, but at least I knew what to do and where to go, And he's even told me, in the place we're in now, okay, well, if something happens, you go here. I'm going to fight these people off. And then you have them, you have these people come back with you, who I want you to go to. Okay. So having a plan is good. If you're on the second floor or third floor, you may feel like, oh man, I want to get the ladder. But if that's your only escape, that's what you can do. If somebody is trying to get in your apartment, what you want to do is you want to have that ladder. And one of you, and I think it's an out of the window ladder. I don't know specifically what kind it is, but just Google a ladder that you can get out of a window with. I think it might be like mesh or plastic or something like that. But get that ladder so you can exit. Now, of course, the person who's holding, if they have to hold the ladder, they're probably going to have to do that. Now, you may be lucky to get a ladder that it can hold on to. It can hold on to like the maybe like the counter or a wall or something, so you don't have so your significant other doesn't have to do that. You can climb on the ladder, then they can climb on the ladder, and you guys can run. Now, what if you're saying, well, what if my neighbors are going to come around there and they're going to try to beat me up while my fiance is coming down the window? Okay, well, here's what you could do, and this is up to you too. And this video is pretty long, so I'm gonna kind of wrap up this section. I can do another video on the more apartment stuff later, house stuff later too. But I'm gonna cover the house in this video too, like how to be safe in the house. So if you're worried about your neighbors trying to be down, at the end of the ladder when you get down there, if you're worried about that, what you can do is that, and this depends on you. This take two paths, but one thing you can do is you can call the police and you can tell the police. You tell them to come immediately. Tell them it's an emergency. Tell them that tell them anything to get them there. Tell them, hey, this is an emergency. This crime's happening. You gotta get there fast. They'll get there fast if that's what they want to do. They'll get there. Okay. You can, silently call the police. One of you can have them on speed dial, and then one of you goes out the window, and the second one comes down. And then when you notice your neighbors are coming, hopefully the police are going to be there. Okay. And there is another method too, as well, that I just thought about. Second thing you can do is you can always say, if somebody is coming in your house, you can always say, you can shout out loud, I called the police, they're coming. That more likely will scare off somebody, especially if they're a criminal. They don't want to get caught in the act by police. So saying that can stop the neighbors from coming in, or whoever it is, can stop them because they don't want to deal with police, you know, because if they're arrested, they can't bother with you anymore. Alrighty. Now, these options are subjective. Another thing you can do. What if, and this is something else you can do. One is call the police. One is, silently not telling the person coming in. Another way you can tell them, scare them off. Third thing you can do is you can do both. You could call the police. After you call the police, you can, you guys can make plans to climb out the window. You can tell them before you climb out the window, I called the police are coming, shout that out loud to try to stop the person. If, they may or may not stop with that, but at least you did both. It is option number 4. One thing you can also, this is a different path. If you have to climb out the window, you can call the police, climb out the window, not tell that person. And then you can take, if you have a firearm, that you can conceal with you, you can have that with you. I would say have it in your holster, or belly band or whatever you use. Have it concealed, and then if your neighbors come around, you're gonna practice all the methods you can to make sure you don't have to use it. So you're gonna try to run away. You're gonna try to do everything. If it all else fails, the police don't come, the people don't stop, and they bust through your door, and then they look out your window, and then some people were coming around your apartment stuff. One thing you can do is, if you have to, and check the rules in your state, if you live in the United States or wherever you live around the world, only draw the firearm when you need to. And go by the gun laws where you live of what you can do. If you have exhausted everything, then I'm going to tell you, you more likely than not are going to have to use your firearm, okay? And what scares a lot of people, what scared me, is that if I conceal and carry, where I live in the U.S., if I conceal and carry, what an instructor told me in a gun class was that, a concealed carry class, was that if I'm intending to shoot the gun, I need to clear out the chamber, so clear out all the bullets. So be prepared to destroy whatever, you aim at. So if you aim at something, expect to shoot. Okay? Expect to do that. It's not something that's wonderful that you're going to like, but I'm just saying, where I live, that's how it works. Where you live, know your gun laws. If you feel that you're going to have to do that, if you're going to have to aim at somebody and shoot them, just know and get in the right mindset about it. Do that. Everybody may not like that. That it may have to come to the fact that you may have to defend yourself with a firearm. You may not like that, but when you're in that desperate situation, you may have to do that. I will tell you, please have a concealed carry license. Please do that. And, if you call the police to let them know that your neighbors are breaking into your house, or, you fear for your life, that may be the time to tell them, hey, I have a firearm. And if my neighbors come at me, can I shoot them? You know, that may be the time to do that. Because then, the person that is taking the call can tell you, and I know time may be going quick, but they can tell you, hey, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't. You know, and that's also why you may want to have insurance on your firearm as well, because if you do have to shoot somebody, you do want to make sure you are going to have insurance so you can get a lawyer, and they can tell you, they give you a little card that tells you what to say to the police and what not to say. I say research this stuff before you do use it. I tell people be very, very careful. Exhaust all these methods. And one of the things in this concealed carry class is exhaust all your options. Don't just walk around like a big talker because you got a firearm. Okay? Don't just do that. Or what other people call a firearm a concealed carry. Don't just walk around all confident. Do the same things that you would normally do if you didn't have the gun. Exhaust everything. Okay? Exhaust all the stuff. If you have to use it, make sure you did everything you could. And then if you have to use it, then do it. But I say if you think you're going to be in a situation, find out what other people did in your particular territory where you're at, or state that you're in if you're in the U.S. or around the world. Okay. These are options of what you can do in an apartment. Now, I can go on forever and talk about other things, but I'm going to kind of leave the apartment stuff there. And I'm going to get to the house stuff. If you live in a house and you have a neighbor across the street from you or next door down the street from you, and this person is salty, and by their actions that they want to fight you. They're doing everything to let you know that they want to fight you. They are parking behind your car. They live across the street and they have the ability to park on their side, but they park behind your car. Okay. What do you do in the house that's different? Well, what I would say is this. If before, let's say you have your front door and your back door in a house. Most people got that concept. If you are getting out your car, okay, and you see your neighbor from across the street and they pull up behind you, one thing I would tell you to stay safe in that situation is this. Get out your car, lock your car, if you have an older car, lock it, and then immediately make your way inside your house, okay? So go through the front door. So you want to go to the place where you can easily get into the house. You want to, you don't want to run, but you want to make sure there's nothing in your car, so when you get out, ladies or gentlemen, make sure you have all your stuff that you need. Now, if you have stuff that you can't carry and it's too heavy, leave the heavy stuff in the car. Like, let's say you went grocery shopping. Leave that stuff in the car, okay? And then, if you have somebody in the house, they can help you lift the stuff. Make your way into the front door. If you notice the person's getting out the car, don't say nothing. Go into the house, okay? Don't run, but, kind of speed walk to your front door. And then if you have to, open your door with your keys, and open the door. If somebody is already there, ring your doorbell. Your neighbor might think it's kind of weird that you ring your doorbell, but ring your doorbell if somebody's in there so that, they can open the door for you. And let them know, you can send them a text, if you want to. to let them know, hey, something's going on. Or let them know if you ring the doorbell, hey, this is what this means. You know, so let them know, hey, hurry up and get up, open the door for me. Okay. Now, you may say, well, what about my groceries? I don't want to leave my stuff out there. I got eggs. You know, I got, eggs I brought from the store. Well, this is what you want to do. I know you care about your groceries. Your safety is important too, just like having the groceries is, okay? Going into the house and getting away from that mean neighbor is good for you because when you go in the house, yeah, it may take 5 or 10 minutes, but your neighbor is going to go to their house. They're not going to spend all the time in their car, especially if it's summer and it's hot outside. They ain't going to be doing that. Even if it's wintertime. If it's in the dead of winter and it's cold as hell, they're not going to be sitting. I mean, they can sit in their car if they want to, but if they're getting out, they're going to try to make it seem like they're going to their house. You know what I mean? Especially if it's like sub-zero temperatures. They're going to be trying to get in there. But, if you hang around, like if you pull up in front of your house and then your neighbor pulls up behind you, I tell you, work fast. Work very fast. Don't just, be slow about it. Work quickly. Okay. Now, if you're older and stuff like that, and you can only move so fast, have somebody on speed dial who you can have come outside who's strong that can help you get into the house. So that's easier, so they can help you. Okay. But by and large, you want to be making movement. You want to increase your speed so you can get into the house. Even if you need help, you still want to do that. Don't just stand outside the car and stare at them. Okay? Don't do that. Make haste, get into your house, and have it set up with the person you live with what certain things mean. If you ring the doorbell, if you knock, so they know what that means. Let them know that let them know, hey, I'm coming home. So let them know you're on your way so they can be looking out for you. So if you ring the doorbell or you knock, they're already there to open the door. Okay? So don't just stand outside your car, because if you stand outside your car, your neighbor may get outside. Like if you stand outside your car, your neighbor will just get out their car and stand there. They may have their door open while they're sitting there watching you. You may be sweating bullets. You don't want to do that. You want to, ladies, if you have your purse, get your purse. Like front seat, get your purse. Get your keys, lock your car, and then make it towards, go in the direction of your front door. Now, if you find that your neighbor is already outside, because let's say they're getting their car fixed or they're just outside hanging out and stuff, and they got other people at their house, if that's the case, what you want to do, if you have to get out your car, okay, what you want to do is, if your neighbor is already outside, one thing I can suggest is this. First thing is, before you pull up to your house, if you have a clear view, be aware of where your neighbor lives at and look to see if it's just them, if it's their kid, if they have a whole bunch of people there. If you can look and see that they got a bunch of people outside, one thing you want to do is you want to go around the back of your house. Most people have alleys around the back of their house in the U.S. most of the time. So drive around the back and then get out in the back. Now, let's say it's nighttime. If it's nighttime, you may say, if you're a woman, I don't want to get out in the back. Or if you're a guy, you don't want to be risk being robbed if it's really dark outside. Okay, well, pull up in the front of your house, and to make sure you can see at the front of your house, make sure you have lights, little lights along the path so you can see what's going on. Make sure you got a porch light too, that illuminates everything so you got a clear path and people can see you. If something happens, and chances are, if you make haste to go in your house, you won't have a problem. Now, if you have a car, you have a car key where you can just leave your car, you can just get out, make haste, walk up the path, and then beep, lock your car, beep it and stuff, then it go in. That's good. Or you can wait till you get inside and then look out the window, beep, beep the car, and then you're good. One thing, it's really important to be coordinating and thinking about this stuff. Now, what if you have children? If you have children, it's good to have it planned with your kids what's going to happen. Now, let's say you don't have plans. Well, what you can do is you could be, pulling up to your house and you can tell your kid, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do this. So you tell them step by step what you're going to do, and then you're going to say, ready, go, and then you're going to start and, get out the car. Then you're going to, have them get in the front seat. You're going to walk around the car. Then you're going to open the door. Then you're going to, already have them have their book bag. They're going to get out the car. You're going to shut the door. You guys are going to walk up the path. And then you're going to go in the house, close the door. Beep. You're going to do that. Good. Another way to stay safe. One thing is you want to have somebody at home waiting for you. If you don't, that's okay. Um, Somebody being at home with you, waiting on you, is good because they're going to be looking out for you. And your neighbor may not want to go through the possibility that somebody's calling the police while they're following behind you. I'm sure they don't want to do that. A lot of times, what happens is that if your neighbors know you're calling the police, they will leave because they don't want to be caught, because they don't want to go to jail, because then they can't bother with you. Okay. Another thing you can do to stay safe at home is keep an eye out and look out, your street to see who is outside. Are these cars in your neighborhood that you recognize, or these cars that, you don't recognize? You know, make sure when you're at home, this is common knowledge, I'm sure, but make sure your doors are locked. Your front door, your back door is locked. Don't leave the doors open because anybody can walk into your house, and can you protect yourself? But even if you can't protect yourself, what if there's more than one person comes to your house and they're trying to jump you and do whatever? So another thing, common knowledge, but you may not have thought about it. Make sure you lock your doors if you're home alone. Okay? Have a plan on what to do when, just like we talked about with the car. If you're home alone by yourself, when you're with your kid, or you're just by yourself, or you're with a loved one, have a plan of how to stay safe at home together. Um, you can have a firearm if you're at home. Make sure you look at your lease if you're renting, or if you bought a house. Be aware. I think if you buy a house, there may be some rules you may have to be aware. If you buy a house and you have to pay for neighborhood stuff, they may have stipulations of things. Know the laws of your state if you have a firearm, definitely. Um, Another thing you want to do is, in terms of being at home, is be aware, if in your front yard, if it's like pitch black and you can't see out of it, be aware that, hey, if it's really dark out front, if I go outside, somebody can be out there and they could stab me, or they can choke me, or they can do stuff like that. So be aware of the dark areas. In the house I'm in now with my fiance, the back alley is dark. Okay, it's pitch black out there. Even if somebody has their light on back there, it's still pitch black. It only is lit up if multiple people are turning on their lights. For everybody's safety. Okay, so know where the really dark areas are, because if it's really dark back there, somebody can be waiting for you. Okay, and who knows what they're going to do. So if it's dark back there, don't go outside. That's something I do all the time. My fiance does it as well. If I know, if I go on my back, if I look out my back door, and that's what I do, I look out my back door first. If I see it's really dark, nope, I'm not going outside. If, for example, if I want to go on my front door, I will look out the blinds of the front door to see if I can see out there. If I can see out there, I can go out there. You know, one thing that's good if you want to go outside on your porch, you can turn on. You want to have a light on your porch to make light more visible. Okay. If that light doesn't really do much and it's like dark, even though you have that light on, you may not want to go outside. Okay. One thing you might want to do is get a motion light too, so you can the light comes on if somebody is getting close. Okay. It's another way to do how to be safe. If you want to be safe, you can go outside with somebody else. You know, provided it's lit outside so you can see something. You don't want to see a shadow. You want to have a good visibility that you can see around you. Where you can go. Another way to stay safe at home is you can definitely have a phone with you at home, so that if you hear a noise or something like that, you have your phone with you in your hand, charged, so you can call if you need help. So you can call the police or whatnot if you hear something, so they can come and check it out. A lot of times, the police are going to come. They will shine a light at your house, wherever you say, hey, I heard something from, they will shine a light in your front yard or backyard to try to, ward somebody off, you know. So those are some things you can do to keep yourself safe. There may be other stuff that you can do. I'm not really going to go over in this video, but some of the stuff is self-explanatory. Some of it's not. Um, Also, one bonus tip for either apartment or house. Know where your knives are, you know, be aware of where that stuff is. If somebody comes through your kitchen and they can access a knife, that may not be good for you. One thing you may want to do is you may want to put them somewhere where somebody may not be expecting them, to keep yourself safe. So if you take the knives out of sight, that person coming in can't grab a knife and then come through your living room and try to point it at you and then stab you. They can't do that. Okay? So that's another thing as well. Vigilance is very important whether you're in a house or an apartment. So use that to your advantage. If you're blind, I would say use your senses about you, to figure out if something's off or not. And you can do that whether you have sight or not. So those are just a couple of things those are a few things I wanted to share. So how to stay safe. I shared a lot of ways to stay safe, whether you're in a house or an apartment. So I hope this video was helpful. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you can like this video. You can subscribe if you like. But I appreciate you watching and have a good night. Bye-bye.